Hello everyone and welcome to your latest episode of All About Space with your host Christophe Paget. This episode will focus on Starbase, ESA news, UK vertical launch site, Japanese space debris removal, 2 capsule returns from space stations, and launches of the week and many more. Let's start with Starbase. At Massey site, the construction of the static fire launch mount is underway, with concrete foundation already completed, and now it's the turn of the water-cooled flame deflector, which will deflect the rocket thrust towards the air rather than spread all around the site. Now, the flame deflector is located in the distance on the left-hand side of the picture. Now, this flame deflector is designed to minimize the use of water and minimize the infrastructure damage to allow numerous static fires with little repairs in between. Now, let's see in the coming month if this idea is achieving its design goals. Further hardware seen are the ship refuel connector and its support structure. Staying with Massey, the booster number 13 upper tank was cryogenic tested, and shortly after that, the lower tank also. New ship and booster hardware development are being trialed by SpaceX, some with improved stringer rings or the famous elliptical dome. Now, evidently, judging the marks on the structure, they form part of a manufacturing trial to advance to version 2 presented by Elon Musk a few weeks ago. I assume that the hot stage ring on your picture is for the next integrated flight test number 4, where we could see not just 3 attachment hooks, but this time 4. NASA Deputy Associate Administrator Hamid Keishitria has been reporting the progress of ARTEMIS program in a presentation titled The Moon to Mars Overview and Status to the NASA Advisory Council. Now, for the new viewers, ARTEMIS III mission is the mission where SpaceX human landing system lands on the moon at the end of 2025 for the uncrewed version and at the end of 2026 for the crewed version. The main takeaways from this meeting is that Starship Integrated Flight Test number 3, the one happened a few months ago, was part of the NASA Artemis deliverables, where SpaceX has demonstrated their first and second stage ability to reach orbit, as well as propellant transfer capability from Starship header tank to its center tanks, important to the Human Landing System or HLS refueling to achieve the mission. Now, SpaceX has completed its first flight system review to demonstrate how propellant transfer will be carried out between ships to orbit. Now, SpaceX is continuing working on the docking mechanism hardware, in-flight quick disconnects, and hot gas thrusters for this year. The important bit of news, though, was the fact that the actual in-orbit Starship to Starship propellant transfer physical demonstration will take place in 2025. We have even been blessed with a diagram describing the steps the 2 starships will take to reach such a demonstration in 2025. The presentation continued explaining that SpaceX will use the docking capabilities of Dragon capsule to the ISS for its Starship docking for in-orbit refueling. ESA has completed the 1 year of basic training of his new class of astronauts fresh from the European Astronaut Center in Cologne in Germany. The lucky ones are, from left to right, Rosemary Coogan, Sophie Adenau, Raphaël Liégeois, Pablo Alvarez Fernandez, Marco Sieber, and Australian Space Agency astronaut candidate Catherine Bennell-Pegg as part of the training partnership between ESA and the Australian Space Agency, making Catherine, by the way, the first ever Australian astronaut. Chosen from a pool of 22,500 applicants from ESA member states, the ESA astronaut class of 2022 comprises of 17 members. With such a quantity of ESA astronauts, Europe has probably the ambition of growing the space activities beyond what is offered by NASA partnership, and I am expecting more and more Axiom or similar private trips to the ISS with ESA astronauts, as we have seen recently with Marcus Vandt in Sweden and his mission Axiom number 3. Saxoford Spaceport UK, a vertical rocket launch site in the Shetland in the UK, has received a launch license from the UK CAA for starting rocket launch operations towards the end of this year. Two rocket manufacturers linked to these sites are so far High Impulse from Neustadt am Kocher in Germany with his SR-75, and Rocket Factory Augsburg, or RFA, in Germany with his RFA-1. The first stage from RFA has been shipped to Saxoford this week for integration and static fire tests. As for High Impulse, the original plan was to launch his SR-75 from Saxoford, but due to delays, they ended up shipping their rocket to Coonibah in South Australia and expecting their maiden flight this week. Now, time is everything in rocketry, as we already know, so more to come from this site in the Shetland. Keep watching this channel for more. Last week, I mentioned that the Shenzhou 18 crew reached the Chinese space station. Well, this week, the previous crew, Shenzhou 17, left the space station and landed in China safely. After 36 days docked to the International Space Station, the Dragon spacecraft supporting SpaceX's 30th commercial resupply mission for NASA has undocked from the orbiting lab on April 28th and safely splashed down near Florida, and the experiment results carried out in the ISS were collected and brought back to shore. A satellite operated by Japanese company Astroscale has successfully chased down a 15-year-old piece of space junk, the second stage of JAXA H2A rocket launched into space in 2009, which is 11 by 4 meter or 36 by 15 feet, weighing 3 metric tons. The JAXA-supported mission consisted of testing the sensors and software needed for safe proximity operations and taking up close images of the space debris to further derive a technical solution for a second satellite to grab such a large space debris and bring it down safely to burn up in the atmosphere. Obviously, all hardware being used in these missions today have the capacity to re-enter into the atmosphere on their own, unlike the old space debris. Now, as the debris was orbiting at about 600 km or 370 miles in altitude, it would have taken several more decades to reach Earth's orbit. It's the first time anyone has managed to rendezvous with such a big piece of space debris. So the first part of Astroscale's mission for JAXA is a success. Now, Astroscale is developing a business that would offer the removal of others' space debris from orbit, which is a good thing for space sustainability. On December 11, 2023, NASA tested an encoded near-infrared laser-based communication system with a spacecraft called Psyche on its way to study an asteroid of the same name. At the time, it was 19 million miles or 31 million kilometers away from Earth. They managed to download data at a staggering rate of 267 megabit per second, and it took the data only 101 seconds to reach Earth. Recently, the same spacecraft was 140 million miles away or 226 million kilometers from Earth, and the same team at JPL, NASA, has tested the laser communication once again. The download speed understandably was reduced to 25 megabit per second, but was however much higher than NASA's expectations of 1 megabit per second. This technology will allow near live data to be used on Mars. However, the downside is such optical communications require relatively clear skies to transmit high bandwidth data compared to traditional radio frequency communications, which can operate in most weather conditions. That is going to revolutionize the way we operate unmanned spacecraft today. The week started on Sunday, 28th of April, with 2 SpaceX flights. The first one was sending 2 European GPS satellites for his mission Galileo L12 from Florida to medium Earth orbit. The first stage has reflown for 20 times, and due to the mission, it was expanded to allow reaching such an orbit with a single Falcon 9. This launch marks the 200th flight to use flight-proven fairings. What an achievement, cost savings, and environmental benefit compared to other providers. So congratulations once again to SpaceX. The second flight of the day was another batch of Starlink for his mission Group 654 from Florida. The first stage landed on a drone ship for his 13th time. That was the 12th Falcon 9 flight in 1 month, a record, I believe. May the 2nd, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 for his Maxa 1 mission from California. The first stage flew for the 20th time and landed back to site. The next day, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 with another Starlink batch for his mission Group 655 from Florida. The first stage landed on a drone ship for the 19th time. Following this was the successful maiden flight from the German company Hypulse for his SR-75 out of Australia. Now we have another launch provider, so well done, High Impulse. And the last flight of the week was from China with CASC launching a Long March 5 for his mission Chang'e 6. It aims at returning samples from the far side of the moon for the first time. International science instruments from France, Italy, Sweden and Pakistan are also on board the payload. From January 24 up to the 3rd of May 24, there have been 86 launches around the world. Amongst that, 83 were fully successful, and the American companies have reached 52 successful launches. In China, 18, and in Europe, this is their first, although this was launched from Australia. In celebration of the 34th anniversary of the launch of this legendary NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope, I leave you this week with another recent Hubble picture of the Little Dumbbell Nebula, also known as Messier 76 or M76, located 3,400 light-years away or 32 quadrillion kilometers in the constellation Perseus. Ferocious ultraviolet radiation from the superhot star is causing the gases to glow. The red color is from nitrogen and the blue from oxygen. Now, thank you very much for watching your episode of All About Space. I'm Christophe Paget and see you next week. Goodbye.